Coming up, we meet Zhang Cangming, who regained his mobility by practicing recycling. We go to Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan to meet devoted cardiothoracic surgeon Yu Rongmin. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Liao. Thank you for joining us. In mid-July of this year, the U.S. Tzu Chi headquarters held its annual 2015 Tzu Chi USA English Spiritual Resource Retreat in San Dimas, California. The three-day retreat was a good opportunity for many of the newer volunteers to learn more about the foundation as they continue walking on the Bodhisattva path.
Taking a visit to a replica of the small hut that Master Zheng Yin lived in back in Hualien, participants of the Tzu Chi USA English Spiritual Resource Retreat learn more about how the Tzu Chi Foundation got started.
And what did he get?
Despite being unfamiliar with one another, Tzu Chi volunteers treat everyone like family.
Everyone in Tzu Chi said, "Are you okay? We wanted to wait to make sure you got here all right." So I think that really changed my mind about how people are and how people in Tzu Chi especially are very compassionate.
We want to help more people find love inside their hearts, their purified hearts. After they find it, the participants can return to their community to spread that love to more people.
Helping participants find their purified hearts, Tzu Chi volunteers create ripples of compassion that will spread throughout the world.
Recycling volunteer Zhang Cangming suffered serious injuries in a car accident 8 years ago and was told he would be wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life. Not giving up hope, Zhang began to practice recycling as rehab and eventually started walking again.
Zhang Cangming is a dedicated recycling volunteer, as it has changed his life.
My legs were numb and the doctor said, "You should be prepared to be wheelchair-bound for the rest of your life."
Zhang fell in despair 8 years ago after he was severely injured in a car accident. Lying on the hospital bed, he saw a message that changed his life. Watching Master Zheng Yin on TV, Zhang was inspired.
The master said we do not have a claim on our life, but only the right to use it. You should seize the moment to do what is right. Upon hearing that, I changed my mindset.
Zhang made a vow that he would become a recycling volunteer. After being discharged, he went to the recycling station in a wheelchair. Amazingly, he eventually recovered and does not even need a walker now.
It gets bright by 5 a.m., so I come collect the recyclables at 5 a.m. and still have enough time to get to work. Then I come again after work, and I can get home by 7 p.m.
Picking up the recyclables twice a day, Zhang has inspired his wife to join him.
I'm grateful to our little ones because when I tell them about our volunteer work, they're fine with it.
When he faced hardship in life, his family gave him the strength to carry on. With the support of his daughters, Zhang is able to care for his family and work, and as well as continue to participate in Tzu Chi.
In our next report, we meet Li Jingzhan and Li Ting, who have been volunteering at the Jingsi Books and Cafe for more than 6 years now.
This is what a typical weekend looks like at the Jingsi Books and Cafe. Except today, young volunteers are joined by 5 newcomers.
Go report to Brother Jingzhan, all right?
Jing Jian, who is in his first year of junior high, is a role model for his younger peers.
不可以躲在这里，不可以玩，不可以玩。
Since young, Jing Jian has never been one to shy away from a challenge. Always ready to step up to the task, Jing Jian has proven himself to be a talented and capable individual. Hence, he was invited by the Jingsi Books and Cafe to host the Young Volunteer stage adaptation this year.
2015近视书圈小志工青藏演艺正式开始。大家好，我是关渡人文店的李俊长。
For young volunteers, the uniform not only gives them a sense of pride, but a sense of purpose as well.
你穿上这件围裙就做。
When you wear this apron, you have to step up. When you enter the store, you have to try your best. We have a duty to pass on our knowledge and skills to our younger peers.
Seeing the Tzu Chi volunteers at the forefront of relief operations in times of disaster, Jing Jian says he hopes to join their ranks one day.
国际赈灾也能去参与那个行列。
那你现在还不能去对不对？
年纪太小。
那你想去吗？
这个就是他刚进书轩的样子。
Li Ting is a shy and quiet girl, but one with a big heart. During the 2004 South Asian tsunami, Li Ting deposited 2 NT into a coin bank every day to help the victims. Although her contributions did not amount to much, her love was boundless. Li Ting's dreams is to become an architect and build houses for those displaced by disasters.
I see how residents in the Philippines lost their homes to Typhoon Haiyan. Although Tzu Chi volunteers did everything to help, life is still very difficult for them. When you are helping others, you are also demonstrating selflessness. I believe with a willing heart and a ready mind, there is nothing we cannot accomplish.
The Society of Tzu Chi Educational Volunteers, now in Gansu, China, as educational ambassadors, recently worked with students from Lanzhou University to host a 2-day camp for children at the Tzu Chi Elementary School in Liuchuan Township. Over the course of the camp, these college students gained an invaluable experience in teaching and coordination. But first, let's take a look at the stories of some scholarship recipients in the Philippines.
Reading textbooks with the light of an oil lamp is difficult, but it did not stop Charlotte from doing well on her exams.
I want to thank the Tzu Chi Foundation, especially Master Zheng Yan. I have the chance to go to college because of you.
After classes, Charlotte and her brother fill water barrels for neighbors to earn money, in addition to helping their mother with household chores.
When I was most helpless, the Tzu Chi volunteers appeared. Thank God Charlotte can continue her education.
Eto na, nandito na kami, makakapasok na siya.
Life is unpredictable, but I believe everything will work out for the best.
Kenneth suffered spinal injury after being hit by a stray bullet in 2009 and is now wheelchair-bound. He's one of the more than 900 scholarship recipients who received aid from the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter last year.
The injury is not the end of my life, but the beginning of a new chapter.
Altogether, close to 400 scholarship recipients were given the financial support to pursue their dreams and aspirations. Meanwhile, in Gansu, China, college students who are more used to listening in a classroom than leading it found themselves on stage.
I'm actually very nervous because it is my first time teaching children. I think the most important thing is to interact with them freely.
The enthusiasm of the students at Tzu Chi Elementary School in Liuchuan Township was an encouragement for the college students.
When I saw the students pay attention to my acting, I became more confident.
Students at Lanzhou University and volunteers of the Society of Tzu Chi Education worked together to hold a two-day camp for students of the Tzu Chi Elementary School in Liuchuan Township, with filial piety as one of the main themes of the camp.
I should share my parents' burden and be more helpful to them.
During the camp, many local residents were invited to come watch these elementary school students express their gratitude and love for their parents.
Serving tea is more than offering tea, but an act of appreciation for our parents.
Teaching children in Gansu, these college students have grown from the experience and relish in the joys of giving.
In our series on troubles plaguing Taiwan's higher learning institutes, we learn what happens when a school cannot get sufficient enrollment and is forced to shut down. Unfortunately, having students transferred to another school to continue their schooling is really not as easy as it seems. Also, what about teachers who lose their jobs in the process? We investigate in our report.
In February of 2014, the Yongda Institute of Technology and Commerce was ordered by the Ministry of Education to stop enrollment. By August of the same year, the school had decided to close down.
Just look at the whole of Pingdong County. Electricians, architects, auto repair shop owners, and such. I tell you, 80 to 90% graduated from Yongda. You won't believe me, right? You know why? Because Yongda was the only school that offered engineering programs here in Pingdong.
Still, Yongda could not draw in enough students. When a school fails to meet 60% of the enrollment numbers set by the Ministry of Education, and its total number of students is less than 3,000 people, it will be placed on the ministry's watch list.
If the average enrollment per department fails to meet a certain standard, then there's a high probability that the school will have to merge with another school.
One of the indicators that the ministry uses to evaluate schools are enrollment figures. When a school performs poorly, it must submit an improvement plan.
When Yongda was ordered to stop enrollment, the ministry's plan for the school was to retain business-related departments only. All engineering-related departments were to be scrapped. We all questioned such a decision.
As the improvement plan failed to be endorsed by the school, Yongda decided to close down. However, this meant the school's engineering majors had to go out of the county to continue their schooling.
When I was with Yongda and Kaohsiung, many of my students were just like me. I mean, students here really have very limited resources. They really do need a lot of help. My students then couldn't afford to run between different schools to attend class. They didn't understand all these various contingency plans. Gosh, we ourselves had trouble understanding too.
Getting the students transferred proved to be quite difficult. Not only did they need to get retested, they had to commute long distances. Simply put, nothing was put together for them. Hoping to avoid a similar fate, when Xinguo University was in financial crisis, it was fortunate enough to secure private funding from CTBC Financial Holdings.
The school's board of trustees couldn't deal with the problem anymore, so it looked to CTBC's Taiwan Lottery Corporation for funding. A new board was established, and the new direction that the school decided to take was to downsize and refine its curriculums.
During summer vacation, the school reorganized and was renamed CTBC Financial Management College, and only 3 finance-related majors were offered. Unfortunately, most of the students were not happy with the changes.
Basically, Xinguo University was taken over by CTBC, and most students got transferred anyway.
All non-finance-related majors were forced to attend other schools, and many teachers were also forced to leave.
There was one thing that CTBC did that I really cannot stand. It asked instructors who could no longer teach at the new school to take on administrative duties. If you refused, you got fired.
Though Tsinghua University avoided being closed down, the rights of students and faculty were still compromised. It will be a tremendous challenge for the Ministry of Education and all schools to avoid the same pitfall in the future.
Dr. Yu Rongmin is a cardiothoracic surgeon at Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital. Often when he's called into surgery, he has only about 3 to 5 minutes to save a patient's life. Due to the weight of the decisions that he has to make every day, Dr. Yu is constantly under a lot of stress, but he encourages himself with the words of Master Zheng Yan and treats every patient as if they are his own family.
Any decision a cardiothoracic surgeon makes during surgery can mean life or death for his or her patient.
From the moment when something does happen to the time you have to administer the treatment, you probably only have about 3 to 5 minutes to decide on how to save the patient's life.
This is why Dr. Yu Rongmin of Taichung Tzu Chi Hospital is always very careful.
Very often, the images of the patient's family appear in my mind during surgery. I then imagine the patient to be my child, my parent, or even my wife. So I want to do all I can to save their lives.
Often, a surgery can last for hours. Though Dr. Yu may be worn out, he refuses to take a break.
We can tell that he is already very tired, but he still pulls up a chair and sits next to the patient so he can observe both the patient and readings.
Dr. Yu's devotion comes from knowing that he is not just saving a life, but a whole family.
I want to do all that I can to pull a patient back from death's door.
Having been a doctor for more than 2 decades, Dr. Yu is either at the hospital or is on his way to the hospital. It is thanks to his family's support that he can continue to save lives on the front line.
Master Zheng Yan actually put it very nicely. When you are stressed out and under pressure, you should cherish the opportunity to serve.
In the Philippines, a fire broke out in a residential area of Quezon City. The massive fire affected a total of 72 homes, and as it was close to its Tzu Chi recycling point, Tzu Chi volunteers were able to quickly mobilize to offer their assistance.
A massive fire broke out in a residential area of Quezon City of the Philippines. The firefighters had a hard time containing the fire as small fires continued to flare up in various homes. Neighbors worked together in the narrow alleyway to help salvage their belongings.
We worked together by passing pails of water, and then I called for the firefighters.
A recycling volunteer who was a resident of the barangay hurried home to check on her belongings.
I was doing recycling. When I arrived, there was nothing left.
Upon receiving word of the disaster, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers hurried to the store to pick up ingredients for a hot meal for the victims. While at the grocery store, the store owner was happy to provide the items free of charge.
Because I feel for the fire victims, I feel for what happened to them, because what they feel right now is pain and suffering, so I want to help them as much as I can.
As the sun sets, love in the form of a hot meal is given to the fire victims to warm their hearts.
I'm thankful because they gave me food, a cup of porridge. This comforts us, and I was able to eat my fill. I'm really thankful.
We're only doing what we can now because we are unable to help them earlier to save their belongings. We have prepared a simple dinner for them, porridge and bread, so that they will have their fill to eat.
With their stomachs filled, residents of the 72 affected households now have plenty of energy to face the trials ahead.
In Tokyo, Japan, local Tzu Chi volunteers have been holding hot meal distributions on a regular basis at Yoyogi Park on behalf of the homeless. In our next report, we join the volunteers' most recent hot meal distribution and take a sneak peek at how they prepare for the event.
Liu Yingji will be guiding the recipients, and Ikeda Koichi will be in charge of taking photos.
Seizing a 3-day weekend to do good deeds, despite the hot weather, Tzu Chi volunteers arrive as usual at the Yoyogi Park in Tokyo to serve their old friends.
After this is ready, you can put in the soup.
While Tzu Chi volunteers prepare for the hot meal distribution, the homeless slowly made their way to the distribution site. A volunteer hands out candies to apologize for keeping everyone waiting. Besides offering a hot meal, the volunteers also prepare rice bowls and towels as gifts. After the distribution, Tzu Chi volunteers clean the dishes following proper cleaning and sanitation procedures.
The first thing we do when we come back from the distribution is to wash the bowls. Next, we'll dry them. In the past, I always went to the hot springs for the holiday. However, I think volunteering is much better. I'm very happy because I don't have to spend money to sweat.
Seizing every chance to give and always contributing 100%, this is the spirit of Tzu Chi volunteers in Japan. Next, we travel to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to see how volunteering at the Global Tzu Chi Cultural Exchange helped two Tzu Chis develop skills that will last a lifetime. Among the youngsters volunteering at the Global Tzu Chi Culture Exchange event organized in Malaysia is Chue Yuxian and Long Yanting, who both share similar personalities. During the event, Chue shoulders the task of lesson planning, while Long volunteers as a media volunteer.
拍照的时候是没有讲话吗？ 人都是要有沉淀的时候，所以当拍照。
I want to concentrate on my tasks, so I don't talk when taking pictures. Taking photos gives me the chance to reflect on myself.
I love chatting. I think there is a difference between chatting and communicating. When chatting, I might say something that is not meaningful, but when communicating with others, I will have to clearly express my points.
By partaking in the event, Chue not only had more time to be with her parents, but also learned some valuable lessons.
This time we encountered many obstacles, maybe because we didn't prepare enough ahead of time. However, now I know how to deal with problems.
While documenting the bond between a mother and her son through her camera lens, Long suddenly thought of her mother.
This picture is about the bonding between a mother and her child. The kid completed the game by grabbing his mother's hand. At that moment, it reminded me of my mother. I really want to participate in Tzu Chi activities with my mom. My mother is not interested and thinks that it is good enough that I'm involved in Tzu Chi.
Thanks to Tzu Chi's event, both Chue and Long have gained valuable experiences that will last a lifetime. Knowing that it is everyone's responsibility to protect the planet, Tzu Chi volunteers in Batam, Indonesia arrive at a residential area to encourage members of the public to join their effort by reducing their garbage output. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.